He got up to leave, ushered me out of the house and locked the door. He got straight into his car and drove away, leaving me stood there feeling sick to the stomach with shame and guilt and armed with every reason as to why I was the worst person on earth. I got into my car, started the engine, pulled to the gate and realised I had no idea where I was or how to get home. It was now dark and I needed petrol urgently, and my mind had been left somewhere between dirty and secret, and it highlighted just how little I was. As much as I hated doing it, I called my dad. I tried to tell him where I was and that I needed a petrol station. My dad had worked on the road for years, driving everywhere you could think of and memorised every location, so in this instant, he was the person to call. He guided me to the nearest petrol station and told me to wait there, and he would come meet me so I could follow him home. So my family did care. Or was this just another opportunity to point fingers at me, take pity, and remind me why I was such a failure? Either way, it didn't matter. I was a failure, and I didn't need anyone to tell me this time. The next morning, I did the one thing anyone in their broken mind would do. I told his wife. There are endless things through this that I am obviously not proud of. However, here is the part that I am actually ashamed of. This was at a time when mobiles were still primitive, yet if you text a landline, it would read out the message. So I called the home line. A young girl answered, and I knew it was his daughter, and yet in this moment, I overlooked her. I overlooked what this might do to her, and I overlooked the fact that she might be the one who listened to the message. I asked for his wife, and she said she was going to get her. I put the phone down and sent the message to the same number, hoping it would be the wife who picked up and listened to it. I told her that I was pregnant with her husband's baby. Right there, I had planted a bomb that I had no idea what the fallout would be, and for a short while, I didn't even care. The feeling of free-falling had been present ever since he had told me I was to stay his dirty little secret, and his family must never find out. Free-falling into no man's land since he got into his car and drove away, leaving me in the darkness of not only the night, but my own mind surrounded by every lie he had ever told. Free-falling into the pit of shame that was dug out by both of us is a dangerous place to be, because nothing there is off limits, and I was too emotionally immature to make any better judgments. He had taken from me more than I thought I had, and all I was left with was another experience with a condemned male looking to take, never give, and wanting to get away with it consequence-free. For a moment I was bitter, and I let that affect this young child who lived in his world. This child who had no idea that from there he would be forever tainted, and for a moment I didn't think twice about any of that. Then the messages and phone calls started. I had ruined his life. This was all me, and I was to blame for the scrutiny he was under. I was the reason I was pregnant, and I was the reason he was being attacked by his wife. I was the reason for all of it, and not once did he seem to stop and take accountability for his part. However, he was unaware that I knew this feeling well, so I sank into it. I was used to being the blame, so this was familiar, and I admit I played this part like the pro I was. I am the youngest of 4 girls, and when I told the sister closest to me in age, she didn't take it well. She hadn't been part of the coalition in assisting me to meet up with this guy, and she had been on the receiving end of a cheating boyfriend, so once again, we fell out. Again, nothing new. My familiar place was being the talking point and the mistake, so I accepted my fate and I took his calls and messages. I needed to hear how he was hurting. I needed to be the reason, as then I knew what to do, and that was to continue down the path of self-destruction and to take as many people down with me. He fueled the fire several times by telling me that I was the work of the devil. Well, thank you. I'll take that title with pride. My children were a sentence sent to punish me. Nope, not accepting that one, but nice try. If you live in a world of God, then you would know that babies are a gift from God, but I guessed he missed that study session along with do not cheat. None of us will ever be happy. Well, time really worked that one out, as eventually this darkness only had the option to transmute into light. All I had to do was find a switch, which was hidden behind his silhouette. During this time, he told me a lot of things that contradicted the person he had been pretending to be, and so I placed it all in the back of my mind, ready to use when I finally found myself. Things went quiet and the months passed, and my baby grew into a healthy baby boy. He joined his big sister and me in early 2008 and was covered in love and acceptance, and he was perfect and beautiful. My mum decided that the dad should know our baby had been born, so she hand-delivered a letter to him at the practice. I then received this. To my name. I have received a note from your mother regarding the baby's birth. I have 3 issues to consider, and I want to lay down the facts. The first and most important consideration of all is my wife's interest, as she is the victim. My deceit and lie has devastated her and destroyed her life. She has been cast out and has nobody to turn to because of me. For the rest of my life, I shall carry that guilt. I will give her all I have and whatever she wants from now on, and that might not be enough to make her stay with me. It is hell for both of us. The rules are as follows. All communication goes through her. Whether it is letters, telephone calls, or direct contact, I shall never see or speak to you or any of your family without her presence and knowledge. She will be in full control from now on and shall not be deceived again. The second consideration is my children. I shall forever be ashamed before them, as I was weak and sinned. How could I lead if I have myself not been able to set an example? How does one explain this to children? Their father is an adulterer. The third consideration is the baby. It is a result of my sin and I take responsibility. My wife and I have decided that adoption is the only viable option for me to take care of the child, as we will not be in the UK for too much longer. We will consider our legal chances. Perhaps it is best for me not to see this baby, because if I got to know it, I will make a legal fight for custody. You may not be Christian and do not have the same moral values, but sin does not discriminate. It will make you pay in the end. You now have the responsibility of 2 children, and I know it is tough being a single mother. On the other hand, God uses us even when we fail miserably. He loves us even when we fall. All we need to do is believe and love him back. This whole section is a blur in my mind, as I believed I blocked it out, along with the numerous other incidences in my life as a self-preservation tool. I do remember being taken aback by the tone of the letter, as this went against everything he had said and done, and just touching the paper gave me hives. The ick had set in, and somehow it was now spreading to the wife. Reading this again now, in a more grown state, maybe he wasn't so wrong, and maybe she was as controlling as he had said, and maybe, and that's a tiny maybe, she used this to add even more distress to his life. However, I don't ultimately believe that. I'm just trying to see it from all angles. I made an appointment to speak to a solicitor. I wanted to know, after the phone calls and horrific things they had said, could they actually take my baby? Again, looking back now, what a terrible thing to threaten someone with simply because they fell for your lies. I don't want to share, so I'll take the baby. I don't want other people knowing I'm a complete creep, so I'll take the baby. I don't want to explain this to my kids, so I'll just take the baby and pretend he just appeared. I don't want to be a good representation of God's creation, so I'll call the baby an it and then take it. I do know being on the receiving end of this will inevitably give me a biased view. However, even standing back with all the emotional strength and clarity I have gained, this is a terrible and unforgivable thing to do. At some point, I sent this to the guy. Now, before I share this, I already know that the grammar and just how it's worded is an embarrassment. And also, if I was in this position now, which I wouldn't be, I wouldn't have sent this at all. It's based in sadness and loss and admittedly comes across as desperate. While I was sad, felt loss, and felt abused and taken advantage of by him, I did not feel desperate for him, just because of him. I had emotions I didn't know what to do with. The last meeting with him pushed me over an edge I didn't know I was stood on, and I was falling, and fast. With everything else I had going on in life, this was the last straw that broke the camel's back. So maybe I was desperate, but again, not for him. He was tainted and had broken my heart. 2. His name. I have debated with myself whether or not to give this to you, and then realised that I am at the end of worrying about you, and will you, won't you? So just for 5 minutes of your time, completely think about how all of this has been for me. Before that Thursday night, I actually thought you cared about me, even if it was just a teeny tiny bit. I did think you cared, and to be carrying your baby was a dream come true. This being true so much more than you'll ever believe. You have underestimated, either out of misjudgment or choice, just how much I loved you. It's like you listened to my words, but you never heard them. Personally, I think it was choice, because if you had heard me, you wouldn't have trampled all over my feelings as many times as you did, in as many ways as you did. I held you up like some sort of hero, someone I would travel to the ends of the earth for, and I was hardly shy about that. Even through all your past behaviour, I really loved you, in every sense of the word, and all I ever wanted from you was to feel wanted, even liked, maybe understood. Not just wanted for sex when you felt like it. If you were honest, you'd admit that all the nice things you said to me was crap. You just wanted what you wanted, and who cares how you left me feeling. I do wish you could have been me just for a few seconds, just so you'd know. I guess part of me is pleased that we saw each other that last time and you acted like the monster you proved yourself to be. You did not have to treat me in the sickening way you did. You did not have to act or do what you did. And to end all that, you left me there, even though you knew I had no idea where I was. I followed you there, remember? I had no petrol, and I was sadder than sad at how you just treated me. I'm devastated at how all this has gone, at how different you really are, and just how obvious it became that you think absolutely nothing of me. You will never know just how much you have hurt me, and I'm finally past caring if you even cared, because all that matters now is, older child, my baby, and me. You quite plainly can go to hell for what you've done and how you have made me feel. It wouldn't have felt so bad if you'd even pretended to care, because you might be the one with the family, but I was important too, and you should have treated me like I was. I did wonder if you still nip off to church every Sunday. Do you confess your sins or leave them at home, as you said yourself it's easy for you to forget? It's lucky that my babies won't be going to church. We will take our chances with the real world. Thank you for the baby, but that's it. I will never forgive you for the rest of it. I also wonder why you insist on ignoring me. I didn't get myself pregnant, and you should know by now that ignoring me just makes me worse. You once said that you wake up in the morning thinking about all this. Truthfully, I don't know how you sleep at night. My name. Honestly, we may have found something that creates shame in me, as this letter is terrible. I hate knowing I sent that, and I hate sounding so weak. In reality, I just wanted him to have some concept that yes, while he was married and had a family, and yes, he should have put those first in the beginning and not played the games that pulled me in, and yes, they should be put first now. During this, there was someone else, myself, and he did lead me into a situation that I was not supposed to be in. And yes, I now take responsibility for the whole of my part. Yet at this point in time, he was the one who had a wife and another woman, so he should have been the one to treat each one with the respect they both deserved. And I would say this about any other relationship, and about anyone who is playing the field while they should be in the retirement of dating. If you make these choices and colour outside the lines, then you must be the one to stand up and remember that it was your pencil, excuse the pun, that created the mess. Moving on. This is then the letter I received from the wife. Received Tuesday the 22nd of April, 2008. My name. Stay away from me and my family, especially my husband and children. Do not send your sister, mother, father, brother-in-law, boyfriend, or any other person associated with you to deliver a message, and do not show up in person at any time. Do not contact any of our co-workers either. I realise for the sake of the child, there will have to be some communications, but you have to keep that to a bare minimum. Do not bypass me ever again. Any contact with the child's father has to go through me. Any contact necessary can be done by letter through the post addressed to me. I also realise that my children and I hardly existed in your and your family's pathetic minds, but this has to change. You need to realise that the decision the two of you made to act like dumb animals, one of which was a bitch on heat and the other a raunchy dog with his penis hanging out, was not living a little, but had and will continue to have devastating effects on several people's lives. What was once a happy, close-knit family is now a very fragile group of people, reduced to a man and a mother and her children, ready to separate at the slightest hiccup. I am a woman who had feelings and dreams just like you, and my children will now have to find out at some point that their father used to be, hopefully, a low-class scoundrel, a hypocrite and a Pharisee. Hopefully not too soon, but when they do, they will be devastated. You allowed yourself to be tools in Satan's hands to destroy a beautiful thing and make it filthy and cheap. You caused a child to have no choice but to grow up without either his father or his mother. In this day and age, you could have easily prevented this, but you chose not to. For your own self-absorbed purpose, yes, you did get yourself pregnant. There are a couple of things you have to do to slightly lessen the effect of your despicable actions, which started off by offering yourself on a plate to a hetero, uninterested, married man, and spreading your legs at every opportunity, even though he always made it clear that you were just a sex object to him. Don't act the poor victim now. Why some women think they get anything good from a man who lies and deceives to the one he professes to love is something I would never understand. First of all, for the sake of our children, my husband and I are trying to start a new, better relationship from scratch. Do not interfere. Both of us have nothing but contempt and disgust for you. Both of us are trying very hard to forget that you ever existed. He also has a lot of contentment and disgust for himself, as so do I, but you can't switch off 16 years of deep, true love, even though it mostly was from my side only, even after such total betrayal, even with several months, especially since it looked like he had complete turnaround. Whether this is true and lasting remains to be seen. Secondly, we have no interest in you or this child unless you agree to let us adopt him, so that he can grow up in a wholesome family instead of a dysfunctional one. If you choose to keep being selfishly heartless enough to use this child for your own emotional support, he can contact us when he is old enough to be somewhat discerning, after he becomes 16 years old, not before. We will make sure that you always know where to contact us if you keep us up to date if your contact details change. You live in a country where the state will look after your child quite well financially. You could, of course, look for and be willing to commit yourself to someone else and marry a good Christian guy who will be willing to be the father to your children. You would have to die to your own selfish desires, though, or it will fail too. If you ask God and trust in him and be patient, he will provide the right man. You will need to put your ridiculous pride aside. If you do not respect my wishes and make life difficult or awkward for me, I shall do all I can to prove that you are an unfit mother, who will be emotionally and spiritually abusive towards this child by withholding the knowledge of the only one who is trustworthy and could make him happy in this miserable world and save his soul from eternal hell, and that he will be better off living with his father, whose wife is willing to be a good mother and care for him and love him for his own sake, and not because he is an emotional crutch for her to make her feel needed and give her a little self-worth. Wake up, grow up, and realize life is not a soap opera. It will do you good to stop watching the idiotic stuff because it has clouded your mind so that you have completely lost touch with real people. I have spoken frankly because I believe you need to hear this. I hope it will make you think about your life and the consequences of your actions. You are not the victim. You went looking for all of this, all the way from the beginning to end. You knew the man was married when you told him you were in love with him, without him ever giving you any sign of interest from his side before, because there wasn't any interest. What did you want to accomplish with that other than to see if you could seduce him? Only a man whose walk with the Lord is solid and in his heart and not just his mind would be able to withstand such an easily available temptation. Sadly, my husband was very immature and a shallow Christian. You knew all the time from the beginning that he wasn't interested in anything other than sex because he told you so every time. You knew he wasn't going to compromise his family, yet you decided to get pregnant nonetheless. No thought of any other person but yourself, not even a helpless child. Otherwise, you must be totally brainless. There is only one thing you can do to get out of the mud hole you are rolling in, making life seem hopeless, and that is to take the outstretched hand of Jesus, who truly loves you like no one else, and will keep waiting for you until the day you die. But after that, it will be too late forever. You have a choice, make the right one. You are not an animal, don't behave like one. Their letters are both typed and unsigned, so I replied, typed and unsigned.